What if we had two suns? Imagine a world lit not by a single familiar sun, but by two fiery celestial orbs traveling through the heavens side by side. This isn't the stuff of science fiction or far-flung galaxies. It's a thought experiment about life on Earth, as if our solar system had twin suns. What would change? How would our skies look? And what would that mean for plants, oceans, animals, and even human evolution and culture? To envision such a world, let's consider the basics. Twin suns could mean two stars the same size and type as our present sun, or perhaps one is a bit smaller or dimmer. A common case called a binary star system, found frequently throughout the Milky Way. For the sake of exploration, let's imagine both are similar to our Sun, G-type yellow dwarfs, gracefully dancing around a shared center of mass, with Earth orbiting this double act at just the right distance. Right away, the sky would overwhelm us with its splendor. On clear days, the dual suns might be side by side, casting intertwined shadows, making for a dazzling, golden bright world. At other times, one sun might hang high as the other nears the horizon. In regions where both were above at once, midday would blaze with an intensity we've never experienced. There would be points during the year when one sun sets while the other remains, prolonging daylight far beyond our accustomed sense of dawn and dusk. What would this mean for day and night? The dance of two suns would complicate the familiar rhythm of sunlight and darkness, depending on the planet's path around its double star. A day could last much longer, sometimes never truly descending into night for weeks or months at a time, as the stars take turns illuminating the planet. In some scenarios, full night could be a rare event, with only the briefest twilight. In others, there might even be times when both suns set together, giving a true night, albeit in shorter supply. The impact on climate would be profound. Two suns would mean more energy pouring onto the surface, potentially making Earth much hotter in many regions. The seasons would be less predictable and more extreme, dictated not just by the planet's tilt and position, but also by the configuration of the two suns. At certain times, the combined heat could trigger intense summers, drying out forests and expanding deserts. In contrast, periods when one sun dips far below the horizon, leaving only the other, might offer a reprieve, with cooler nights and partial sunsets that nudge the planet closer to what we're used to. The rise and fall of temperatures would no longer follow the serene, circular path of an orbit around one sun. Instead, it would become a complex symphony orchestrated by the movements of two burning spheres. Winds might be wilder, storms stronger, weather patterns unfamiliar. Ocean currents could shift, seeking balance in a world with more complex heating. The very rhythms of ice ages and monsoons might be rewritten. But what of life? Evolution, after all, adapts relentlessly to the world it inhabits. With two suns, the simplest effect would be a surge in brightness, brighter days, less darkness, and longer periods of illumination. Plants, always hungry for the sun's gifts, would evolve to cope with and perhaps exploit the new bounty of energy. Photosynthesis might become even more efficient, or adapt in new ways to avoid damage in the relentless light. Yet too much light brings challenges, not just benefits. Excess solar radiation can be harmful. Plants and animals would need to protect themselves from overheating or drying out. New pigments and surface features might evolve. Silvery, reflective leaves to cast off excess heat, or thicker barks and skins for insulation. Creatures that rely on darkness, nocturnal predators, and the shy, light-averse species would need to adapt to the diminished night. Perhaps their eyes would grow more sensitive, or they'd burrow deeper into the ground, coming out in the rare, precious hours of true night. The seas would shimmer with unusual fluorescence, as plankton and other life forms adapt to the endless twilight. Coral reefs might grow faster, but also face higher risks of bleaching in the warmer waters. Fish might adjust their spawning and migration seasons, no longer tied to simple day-night clues, but to a more intricate dance of overlapping solstices. Even the color of the sky would transform. With two suns, atmospheric scattering would paint the heavens in unusual shades depending on the positions and types of the stars. Mornings and evenings, where their light crosses paths, might burst in riotous hues. Imagine dual sunrises and sunsets, their shades mingling, one red and gold, the other perhaps more pale or even bluer. If the stars differ in temperature, human beings, too, would find themselves profoundly changed. Our customs and myths are woven from our relationship with the sun, our calendars trace its march, our stories explained its regular journey. In the world of twin suns, timekeeping itself would become complex. When does the day truly begin? When both suns rise, or when the first peaks over the horizon? How do you decide when to rest or to celebrate? When the darkness is only occasional and inconsistent? Agriculture would need new skills, taking into account the extended growing hours and the greater risk of crops overheating. Perhaps fields would be planted in patterns of shelter and exposure, with canopies and clever engineering to moderate the surfeit of light. The shape of houses, towns, and cities might evolve with broad eaves, deep courtyards, and vast networks of shade, as people seek respite from relentless solar fire. In such a world, the concept of night could be sacred, revered in song and ritual, a time for gathering and wonder. Instead of fearing the darkness, people might cherish it, marking the rare occasions of true night with great feasts and solemn ceremonies. Yet not all double-sun scenarios are so benign. If the two stars are much closer together, their combined gravity would pull fiercely on the planets around them. Orbits would turn unpredictable, stable for millennia perhaps, but vulnerable to perturbations and catastrophic shifts. At the gentlest, life might cope by continuous adaptation. At worst, the planet might lurch between fiery summers and icebound winters, or be flung out into space entirely. Some binary systems host planets with orbits that are oddly shaped, leading to wild cycles of heat and cold, as the planet careens closer and farther from its dual stars. In such worlds, life is tested to its limits. On others, stable orbits are possible, known as circumbinary orbits, where a planet circles both stars as a single entity. In these rare, precious systems, ecological stability might endure, giving birth to complex and harmonious biospheres. Our own sun is solitary, but across the galaxy, twin stars and binaries are the rule, not the exception. It is a near certainty that, somewhere out among the stars, there are indeed worlds graced by the fire and beauty of two suns. And wherever life finds a foothold, it adapts, flourishing in the odd light and odd seasons, writing its own strange story. In literature and art, two suns have long inspired wonder. Ancient tales spoke of a time when the world was lit by two fires, while modern sci-fi conjures up images of desert planets, basking in perpetual daylight. Their twin shadows stretching as far as the eye can see, we imagine otherworldly creatures shielded by layered skins and mirrored adaptations, evolving under a sky with a double dawn. But let's return to Earth. If, by some twist of cosmic fate, our sun had a twin, the changes would be both subtle and dramatic. Life, in all its resourceful ways, would cope. Humanity would tell new stories, build new traditions, and reshape the very way we understand time, nature, and our place under the heavens. We might look up at the double sunset and feel a sense of awe, knowing that our world is a rare jewel, a planet amid two suns, dancing through a universe that never runs short of wonders to surprise us. In the end, the question of, what if we had two suns, is an invitation to picture not just a different world, but the astonishing resilience of life, the creativity of civilization, and the boundless capacity of imagination itself. It asks us not merely what would change, but who we would become, creatures of the twin dawns, shaped by a sky that blazes with twice the possibility.